We need you to feel some pain. We need you to get to that point where
You haven't heard my wife. I feel pain.
That's good, but it's not loud enough yet. All you've had at the moment is gains taken away from you. Gains are cheap. Like, we need some of that hard-earned money to just evaporate. If you see a government putting cummies on their balance sheet, then trust, I'm just gonna dig a hole and then fill it in.
If we're talking about Bitcoin being the sole currency, do you have, because you always hear this argument online, it's probably a shitcoiner one without the silver and gold. So you have gold for the larger transactions, your store of value being Bitcoin, and silver being your day-to-day transactions. So the question is, do you think there'll be a crypto or some kind of currency which accompanies Bitcoin?
No.
For a second there, I was actually thinking that Ross was quite smart.
What do they do? Take on the work experience person? It's like, God damn it, Jerry! I told you not to put the keys on the notepad. I need to mention Tom.
Yeah.
Give us some shit at every podcast. So he picks out his name and gets excited. There's been no insults towards Mark. Is this
That's the best insult, just no comment.
I was going to say, if we hit that level where we just don't care anymore, and it's just the three of us. Basically, you're one of his unimportant contacts, Darnell. You matter less than a like.
What else is a man to do with nothing but time? Yeah, exactly. I might message him on Twitter next.
Yeah, 8:30, Gaz.
And then send a meme in about Elon or something. Yeah, so how much of the 2021 Miami conference have you both seen? Have you seen any of it? Because I watched the entire thing, didn't miss a minute, but where are you guys on your work, got kids?
I've watched a couple of clips. So after saying who on earth's Jack Maulers or Mailers, whatever his name is, I watched his video, which I thought was, I don't know, I'm a little bit mixed about it because it's a really good message, but then it was how he was kind of sobbing and crying. I kind of thought that's a bit woke for me. I kind of thought, the El Salvador, I'm hoping that it all works, but this is what kicks Bitcoin in. But I just didn't like the way which he delivered it. It made me cringe. And then I didn't watch, but I listened to a bit of the, is it Max Keyser and Giga Chad, dressed in black and dressed in white. So, and then I saw a clip of Max Keyser getting interviewed by someone, and he was ripping up currencies. I think that was on Twitter, and he was just off his face. So I haven't watched loads, but I'm going to try and listen to some of various bits and pieces which are littered over YouTube.
Man, it sounds like you've been listening to too much to shitcoin Twitter, because they're the three bits that are being shared, and the word cringe is trying to be attached to it. Whereas in reality, all it is Max has always been that way. And Jack presented 3 times that day. The first 2, he was super calm. He presented about the Indy 500 thing, because that's him. I think he then presented, he was on a panel, I think, about Lightning or payments, because his company Stripe.
That's right. Yeah.
Super chill. But then
building Lightning businesses.
Yeah. And then it was the last presentation of the entire day. He did that one. It just meant a lot to him. He'd met families there, and he got tearful. And I was surprised. He's a young lad. He's super enthusiastic. And I was surprised he got tearful. But you just see he'd met kids on the ground. And for people that didn't watch it and only see the clips, the shitcoiners are trying to twist this into being it's a cult. They're all on cocaine or something. And it's just a load of bollocks. Actually, anyone that just watch more than 10 minutes. And it's just heavy content. It's a bit like this podcast. It's like watching, actually, it's a perfect analogy. It's the equivalent of watching the first 60 seconds of this podcast and thinking that's everything. No, that's the bullshit bits in reality that I clip out and put at the front to have a laugh at. But actually, the bulk of this pod is quite heavy and serious stuff. And it's the same as that conference. It was full of really heavy, good content. And yeah, there's the shitcoiners seem to be coming for Max a little bit, trying to undermine him, and yeah.
Oh, I've got nothing against Max. I just thought it was funny. It was like this clip which I think a shitcoiner did put on Twitter, which I saw.
It was from years ago, that as well. From years ago.
And it made me laugh. It did make me laugh, but I think it was a shitcoiner trying to put a spin on it, whereas the other two were the full videos on YouTube. But I am going to make an effort to work my way through listening to them when I'm doing my admin. Like Darnell says, it's probably the best time to listen to it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd recommend shout out to the Bitcoin magazine on YouTube to subscribe to that, because it's got all of the clips there, and that's probably where I've been watching the majority of all of mine as well, and just catching up. To Gaz's point, absolutely, like he's talking about not just, throughout the whole event, no one's talking about the price and the pump of the price and how they're getting rich off the price. That's just like a side thing. It really is about how they're helping people, how he's helping 70% of the population to become banked and to actually have a voice into the money that they're sending home, in terms of the 2 million people that are in the US that are then sending money back. That's where I think the theme and like the deepness of it is all completely lost on something like Twitter. And if people actually took the time out to actually really get deep into it, then they'd really understand as well. The Max Kaiser, he's just like that, because he's just having such a laugh at being in it early and everybody else laughing at him.
Yeah, well, he was like, there's videos of him behaving like that in the 70s. Like that is just his personality. He was a stockbroker, like that's it. That's his trade. Like there's clips of him, like when he was 20, and he's crazy. Like he just is one of these guys. He's very like eccentric, and once he gets something in his head, he's got a point to say, he will just shout it at you. And if you don't listen, he'll shout at you even louder. So he's just enthusiastic. And yeah, like you said, Dano, it's like, this is like the shitcoiners and the people that hate Bitcoin, they don't get how dangerous and how corrupt government has been. And when you go to a third world country, there's people starving there, like literally starving because of hyperinflation, because their wages are nothing. They don't have
because of lockdowns more recently.
Yeah. Well, to a certain extent, like third world countries didn't lock down because you can't. Like if you don't have food and water that day, you go out anyway. It doesn't matter what the government says.
They did in Pakistan and India, and whilst they're not fully third world countries, big proportions are very exceedingly poor.
Exactly.
Obviously, they basically starve them. They put them into complete poverty.
Well, go to a slum in India and show me that lockdown. I can guarantee it wasn't locked down. The cities would be locked down because those people probably have access to delivery and all that stuff. But if you're in the slums of India, where I think like half the population live, I can guarantee not a single person stayed in their shack because they don't have a fridge. They don't have electricity. You have to go out to get water and food. This is not like every day for them is survival. And if there's a virus with a 99.8% survival rate, you don't stay in for that. Like they fucking go out. It's just and that's the thing in El Salvador. They're in the same boat. And that was the whole criticism straight away was, number one, the presentation. Oh, he's emotional. It's like, yeah, he's emotional because he's been there and he's seen the lives that are going to get affected. And
Did you say he was there for 9 months or so?
3 months, I think.
3 months. Yeah, 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did a fucking lot in that 3 months. Like, not only did he meet a load of people, got him to convert him to Bitcoiners, he somehow converted the president into a Bitcoiner.
It is impressive.
Which that is one hell of an achievement. And it's fantastic because suddenly, that's like I'm about to say, people have gone, oh, Bitcoiners are celebrating one of the smallest economies in the world and one of the most corrupt countries in the world are moving over to a Bitcoin standard and making the first steps. Like, as if they're celebrating that. It's like, but that's exactly where it was going to start. It was always going to start there. The people that need Bitcoin the most are the most corrupt and have hyperinflation. And
we were picking Nigeria and Pakistan, I think, before this as the ones which we thought there might be a chance in. So obviously bigger countries, but still big problems with corruptness.
Yeah, and what it's taken is this new president. He's 39. He's only a year and a half or something into his tenure. he knows he's put a load of politicians in prison for the corruption previously. And he's come in and gone, yeah, letting us control the monetary supply isn't a good thing. Look, he's grown up in that world, sees it, and goes, we need to switch this. We need to move to a Bitcoin standard, and then maybe I can actually start fixing shit. And and it's fantastic because now suddenly the entirety of South America, all the politicians in Paraguay, in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, they've all got laser eyes now. It's fucking insane. Like, it's only 48 hours after that presentation, and it's just spread like a virus again, which is like freaking. But literally, I can't believe how many high up politicians in South America who have laser eyes now. They're all getting jealous of El Salvador, going, "Oh shit, we don't want them to get ahead and have more Bitcoin than us. We better start buying some." And yeah, it looks like we're getting country level FOMO now. We've had individual FOMO over like the last 10 years. The last like 12 months have been company FOMO. Correct. And over the last 2 days, now we've got country FOMO. This is really when
you need Pakistan and India start a bidding war. That's what you need. That's the pairing.
Well, that was the FOMO that I think we talked about previously with gold and them trying to hoard as much gold as possible. But now they understand that this is gold 2.0. And to your point, so what if it's a small country in El Salvador? The most corrupt are the ones that need it the most. And I'm glad that they've turned around, because even though we call them corrupt, they're actually corrupt not due to the fact that they want to be. It's out of necessity. But really, we know the most corrupt are those that we think are the most civilized, which are the UK, the USA, and China, no doubt.
I think you're saying corruptness about necessity. I disagree with that statement. So I think corruptness, you're talking about government level, backhanders stealing money out of the public coffers. It's not necessity, it's just pure unadulterated greed. Whereas if you go down to, the lower levels and talk about crime, that's necessity. When someone's desperate to eat, desperate to look after their family. Whereas it's opportunity in these poorer countries which may not have the governance. So, your typical one, which everyone brings up, is like Nigeria, but Nigeria is nowhere near the bad country. You are looking at El Salvador, you're looking at probably the South American countries as well, like Argentina have ended up in a right state.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the current UK government is probably way beyond what we've ever envisaged.
Yeah, I think the fact is, like, as we know, whoever's close to the money printer, they go corrupt. And how corrupt you can be depends on the power of the currency that you're printing. So if you're corrupt in El Salvador, you can't print that much. You can't print trillions. It's impossible, because not the whole country's not worth that. But you can probably print 10, 20 million for you and your mates. So that's what they do. That could do so much in the country. That could probably build a hospital, could build 10 schools. But you don't do that. You give it to yourself and you build yourself a mansion and you live like a king. That's the level of corruption El Salvador have. Whereas when you move to the US, they print trillions, start illegal wars, and they literally can do whatever they want. And that's
they line the pockets of all their friends in terms of billions. With oil, with money, with whatever they want, regulations.
It was funny as well, because when Max ripped up that $10 bill note, he actually said, didn't he? I can pay somebody off, even though it's an illegal offence, and that's because it's corrupt.
How rich is he? Because obviously I know him from Twitter, and I know he's a bit eccentric, but how rich is he?
It's a good question. I guess, if he was already into gold and silver before, and he's liquidated that, and he got into Bitcoin at $1, and has been doing it for the last 10 to 12 years.
If he's not a billionaire, I'll be amazed. Like there's videos of him in early Bitcoin conferences trying to get other influential investors involved in Bitcoin, and he's just sending them live on stage 5,000 Bitcoin just to get them in. Like,
so Aura said the first one, 10 million with an annual cash flow of 600 to 800k, which I'm thinking nice, but it's not where I thought he'd be. Second one, massive. Keyser is a Bitcoin millionaire at what, $100 or so. So he was a Bitcoin millionaire at $100. Bear in mind we're at what, 20 grand? Well, what's that in dollars? And
he's a billionaire. If he's not a billionaire, I'd be amazed.
So $100 into what are we on? 26 grand in dollars.
Yeah,
so
10, 20,
yeah. So he probably is approaching a billionaire just in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's nearly like Max would have to have done really fucked up to have not
would have to do a proper
Mike
Tyson.
Yeah.
Get some white tigers.
Yeah, and he's not. He's a married guy. He's got a nice house. That's the thing. Like, as you're going up, no doubt the house that he now lives in is probably one of the most expensive houses in the world because it probably cost him like 50,000 Bitcoin or something crazy, and it would have been.
I think I saw his house in Costa Rica.
That's a lie. That's a lie. You follow too many shitcoiners. Fuck's sake.
Was that shitcoining? Because I thought it was his joke saying he's now got a house in El Salvador, and it was just his house in Costa Rica or something.
He's not dumb enough to put his own fucking house on the internet. It was a troll.
I thought it was actually
you need a new platform to fact check and verify.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like I'm not betting any money on that being his house. I just thought it might be. I was going to say very nice house.
His next tweet was a picture of just a random plane saying, "I've just bought a plane. I'm flying to El Salvador." And again, the shitcoiners started retweeting it, fact checking the fucking plane, going, "This is a Ryanair plane." It's like Max is winding you up. He's just he's just taking random pictures of stuff, going, "Oh, I've just bought this," and it's like, well, why would you don't take a picture of your own plane? Like, he's quite a private guy when he's not on stage. Like, no one knows where he lives really, and he has security. Like, he is worried. So anyone that can afford security actually is always a bit of a sign that they've got a few bob, because those security guys, aren't free, and if you've got 4 or 5 of them following you around everywhere, then that's $500,000 a year just by paying those guys. So
yeah,
if you can't do that if you're just a couple million quid up.
I talked about security as well, and that's probably one of the big things for next year. Security at Bitcoin 2022 will be needed, because one of the talks I found quite interesting was the Jack Dorsey talk. Did you catch that?
Yeah, it was great.
Ross, have you seen that?
No, I'm just about to subscribe to that channel which you're on about.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's where probably lost in the Twitter ether, but he's talking about what him and Jay-Z are planning on doing, for kids out in Africa once again. But the fact that there was somebody that was obviously talking about how he's not allowing people to have free speech, but yet they're building something to provide people with free speech and not deplatform them as well, which was really interesting, I thought.
It was, yeah. That was Laura Loomer, wasn't it? She stood up. She managed to get to the front row. Apparently, she's quite a well-known. She's got her own Wikipedia page, and she's quite a well-known activist. She's a far-right kind of person who really believes in just the freedom of speech and people just talking shit, basically. So there's been a number of people that have been deplatformed from Twitter, and obviously there's Jack, and he talks very, very eloquently about how he wants to help the world, how he believes in Bitcoin, how he believes in decentralization, but then his actions don't add up to that. Yeah. When you consider the fact he is CEO of Twitter, and you go, well, you've deplatformed a number of people purely on the fact that, and you can almost tell the US government have told you to, because they're not towing the line, and you have deplatformed them. So you don't believe in free speech, really. So what's your answer to that? And fair play to him. I tweeted this out as it was happening, and that tweet went viral because I just went, fair play to him. He actually admitted. He said why. He went, with a company that has shareholders, you have shareholder and just basic business responsibilities that come your way. and you have to act on them. So I need to build something that is more like Bitcoin, that is one layer removed from all this. And that's what we're doing. And as he was halfway through this, someone shouted out, "You're a liar."
Yeah.
And he just went, "Okay, well, let me build it. I want your feedback as we go. Then comment again." I was like, that is how you take feedback. Like, he had two people there stand up and scream at him. He gave his answer. He basically acknowledged he was at fault. And when I want to build something better than Twitter, you can say it's shit. It could be the start of a shitcoining scam, or it could be the start of a proper decentralized Twitter. Who knows? And he's the kind of guy that has the resources to build something like that and just throw it out there. So who knows? And I just went and I put a tweet on that and just went, this is how you handle feedback, like CC Elon, because he could have so easily just gone, just what Elon has done and gone all childish and gone, oh, fuck it then. I'm going to be a Dogecoin guy if you Bitcoiners hate me so much. And he's like, no, Bitcoin is the thing. I respect it. I understand where you're coming from. I admit my faults. I did get a couple of things wrong here. I'm going to try and change it. And yeah, you're free to not believe me yet, but I'm going to prove you wrong in a few months' time. And I just love that. Yeah, it's all live as well. He didn't know this was coming. Obviously, people were standing up shouting this stuff at him, and I thought he handled it really well.
Yeah, and the fact that he's stayed true to Bitcoin through Square only just doing pure Bitcoin. We both, or all three of us, got the notification that Doge is on Revolut. I just flicked that one away straight away, and it's just thought, oh gosh. And I was on my forecast call, and there was a side to think, oh, hold on, we've not seen more clicks on Coinbase because of Doge has been obviously listed on there, and obviously the masses flocking to it. And I was just like, yeah, good. It's a shit coin anyway. I'm glad that nobody's investing in it, and maybe people have seen a little bit of sense and light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's been listed on Revolut and Coinbase, and in a bull market, usually that would double, tripled the price of Dogecoin, but it's just down 30 or 40% over the last couple of days. I think in reality, like all these things that are just purely built on hype, they run out of steam. Like everyone that wants to buy something stupid has already bought Doge.
Yeah,
like, there's no like dumb money left in like this round. Like you need to just wait a bit of time. Like it hasn't been payday again yet. So the dumb people are still skint from their last Dogecoin and they're still down on it. So they're like probably going to think twice. And yeah, it's like it has to be like proper money coming into an investment for it to actually pump. But in reality, like Doge has had nothing but good news really over the last 2 weeks. Bitcoin has had some bad news. Bitcoin is down. So therefore Doge goes down. That's, Doge like can't pump on tweets and on just random listings. It's not enough. What Doge needs to go up, it needs Bitcoin to go up, and then once that goes up, it drags out all the shit coins up with it, and then everyone starts to get a bit excited and start plowing in. But yeah, I
just found out that Bitcoin's down.
I
know. I don't look.
I know you don't. I can't believe you don't look. It's amazing.
I don't look.
I saw Mark's message, so I'm gonna have a quick look. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Live reaction.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Yeah, we're down pretty much as low as we've been in the last couple of months. Like we haven't dipped down to the whole 20K thing, but now we're hovering a couple of K above that. So
US or pounds?
This is pounds.
Okay. So I've got 23,234 is what Google tells me. So
yeah, around
it is what it is. I think with this El Salvador, it's a bit of a game changer. So if anyone is panicking, that's what I'd look at, is if countries do start adopting it, making it legal tender, that is a pump which you're waiting for. This is the time before it gets, not possible to buy Bitcoin.
It's not on the agenda, but do you think Elon's buying on the other side?
Of course he bloody is. He's a manipulator.
Yeah. So whilst he's talking about Doge and he's talking about cumrocket and buying is, and probably Tesla is being shorted by the rest of the Bitcoiners out there as a new GameStop. Is he thinking, I don't care, I'm buying Bitcoin on the other side?
He is incredibly intelligent and incredibly selfish as well, in a respect. And I think that's what you'll find, that he has a massive holding of Bitcoin, whether it be within Tesla, whether it be with his own personal finances. Because he'll be looking at, his way of looking at it will be, how can I fund my next project which will make the world better? Bitcoin. Because I've managed to smash the price down, but it's going to come back up. So he's going to buy it at a discount. He's going to make more money. And then he's going to funnel loads of money into some project which will make the world better. But Bitcoin is the project to make the world better.
Exactly, yeah. Because at the moment, he's cost himself, just by buying it in Tesla and himself and announcing it, he made himself a couple of billion. And then by slating it again, he was almost undoubtedly the reason why he is not only down that couple of billion, his original buy is probably down a little bit now as well. Yeah. So at the moment, it's a massive self-own if he's trying to do it. Like anyone that says he's like pumping and dumping it to try and pick up cheap coins, like, nah, he's not in that league. Like he's just, but I wouldn't be surprised if I think he's just having fun. And then if it does go cheap, maybe this does trigger someone like Tesla to go, you know what, I should buy another billion, but who knows?
Welcome to our world. Every time we've always bought, it's gone down. So he should feel some pain too.
I know.
I think I kept on buying it when it was going up, but because when I bought it latterly, it is down, and I think I am at my point where it is break even roughly for the first time.
That means we need to go down another 30%.
It is what it is.
We need you to feel some pain. We need you to get to that point where
you haven't heard my wife. I feel pain.
That's good, but it's not loud enough yet. All you've had at the moment is gains taken away from you. Gains are cheap. Like we need some of that hard-earned money to just evaporate. 30% of it just fucking go. Like 10 years of saving, and we need it to go. And we need you to see some tears in your eyes. Then we pump.
But it's as I say, it's a 5-year plan. Every investment is a 5-year plan minimum in my head. So it goes down now. So what? What am I meant to do? Panic sell? What am I meant to do about money? Go and buy the shiny car? Great. It's not going to help me in the future, is it? Apart from when it goes rusty, I have to pay for it to get serviced.
Exactly.
You've got the advantage that you're so tight that even when investments go down, you don't want to spend the money anyway. So you're just going to ride this to zero out of spite, and that you wouldn't spend the money, not because you don't want to sell.
I'm not that tight.
Oh, you are?
I am not. If I was that tight, I would not go for steak with you.
Get Mrs. Ross on here. Let's ask her.
Yeah.
Is Ross tight? We know the answer she's going to give.
There's a fucking extension outside. That is not tight.
I bet she's had to badger you for years though on that.
I know. I was quite game for it.
Yeah. There's probably about 10 to 12 quotes.
No, not that many. I had a lot of quotes for Windows.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, we need to see more pain, I think, and that's why I think no one thinks it can go below where we are about now, which probably means we're going to go to below there. But yeah, it's crazy when I rewind like 5-6 years when I first got into this space. It was such a black market type thing. Like no one knew a single person that was a Bitcoiner. Now everybody has heard Bitcoin, everybody. And it's people like Elon, it's people like Michael Saylor. Now we've got governments adopting it. This is completely insane. Like this was the end game. 12 years ago, this was the end game. This was once governments start adopting it, that literally it means they're capitulating. Now, not only like the people, the companies, then the governments, they're the final boss. And once the government starts to... What's that?
Yeah, because
the admission of kind of like money and fiat is just worthless.
Yeah, because once governments accept like Bitcoin, they're literally not only admitting that their own currency is worthless, but they're completely authenticating that Bitcoin, all the it's a scam, it's a Ponzi, all this type of stuff. That completely goes away now because they would not be adopting it. Companies wouldn't be buying it. Governments wouldn't be buying it. Like, because individuals are stupid. They will buy into Ponzi schemes all day long. Like, that's been proven. But
cumrocket.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'll say it without smiling.
If you see a government putting cummies on their balance sheet, then trust, I'm just gonna like dig a hole and then fill it in.
It's the kind of thing which Nicola Sturgeon would do if she got independence, just to spite Boris Johnson.
I would love the national currency of Scotland is cummies. I would love that.
But kind of on your point about the legal tender of Bitcoin, I was thinking about this. Is it better as a legal tender, say in Salvador, or to back the actual currency? Because at the moment they don't really use their own currency because it's become worthless. They use dollars, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So if they bring, it's probably a peso, isn't it? Because it's Latin America, me kind of stereotyping. But if they did say that is now backed by Bitcoin, do you think that would be better, or do you think it's better having Bitcoin as a currency?
Oh, it's undoubtedly better having Bitcoin because whenever you kind of back it off one way by going, oh, we're going to have an El Salvador peso, but we're going to back it with Bitcoin. It's just as they did with gold, they're going to do exactly the same thing. And you start off on a Bitcoin standard and go, oh, these notes and these coins are all backed 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. And you can come redeem it in the bank whenever you want. But then guess what? Somebody comes along and goes, we're just going to print a little bit more. And before you know it, you're off the Bitcoin standard. The Bitcoin is still in the vault. Now it's just, it's all gone. If they stick to sats and they stick to Bitcoin and the individuals transact in that, there's zero trust. They actually have sovereignty over that money. And if that government and like the president that comes in now, if he gets removed and some other guy comes in and he wants to start the money printer off again, he's powerless to do it because Bitcoin's taken over. So they need to stay to Satoshis and Bitcoin. They have to stick to that. If they offload it onto pesos backed by Bitcoin, then that's a recipe for disaster.
Darnell's just dropped a comment saying dollars are legal currency. Say drop there. So obviously their currency crashed, which kind of, I think it's just a matter of time for every country, isn't it? So you get the smaller country more corrupt, poorer, whatever else, and they've gone through this hyperinflation, and it's working its way through the countries because we're seeing, say, worrying trends in UK, USA. It's happened in Germany before. It happened when was it in the 30s, before Hitler, if I remember correctly, after the First World War. And then it's happened in a few more developed countries, but we are waiting for the next round of hyperinflation, which is going to take out more currencies. And potentially that's where Bitcoin gets in.
Yeah.
Really interesting in a thinking about from an economical view as well.
Yeah, massively.
Because it's about incentives, because these smaller countries that don't even have their own currency because they've hyperinflated away, they just want, like, by using the American dollar, they are strengthening another country by using it, giving it value, and making it literally their own currency. So the only country that's benefiting from that is America. So they have no reason to use it other than the fact that they need a money that doesn't hyperinflate. So by moving to a Bitcoin standard, suddenly they take some power back. And if they are first to do it, and that currency starts to go up in value against the US dollar, then that can be a game changer for them. So, of course, the big countries that own the US dollar, they have no incentive to go to Bitcoin. They want to stay on the US dollar. America are going to be.
We just wait. We wait for it to crash under Biden and his sleepy head. If you look at like Vietnam as the example, they have their own currency. I can't remember what it is, but they also do take US dollars as well. Okay. When I went, that was probably 8 years ago. So I imagine it probably hasn't changed.
Many countries take US dollars.
Sorry.
Many countries take US dollars as well as the currency of the world.
Yeah, so having Bitcoin, I suppose that leads me on to a bit of a question. If we're talking about Bitcoin being the sole currency, do you have, because you always hear this argument online, it's probably a shitcoiner one about the silver and gold. So you have gold for the larger transactions, your store of value being Bitcoin, and silver being your day-to-day transactions. So the question is, do you think there'll be a crypto or some kind of currency which accompanies Bitcoin?
No.
I knew what your answer was going to be.
It's very simple as well. It's very easy to answer, because the only reason why gold needed silver was because gold was so valuable. You couldn't break it down into small enough pieces to buy like our version of a cup of coffee. You couldn't, even now, like try and pay someone in gold. It's like the gold's gone up in price so much that breaking it down into bits of dust, it doesn't work. So you need a much poorer metal that is like 100 times cheaper. Then suddenly silver comes into play, it all works. So in the physical world, you do need these things. In the digital world, Bitcoin has gone up by huge amounts, but you can break down a Bitcoin into 100 million tiny pieces. So Satoshis are the silver to Bitcoin's gold. It's already baked in. Satoshi has thought about that.
So putting in perspective, if we did hit, say, £1 million per Bitcoin, then that would mean that every sat would be worth a penny.
There you go. So that's like, yeah. So, and even then, if you go flying through that, you can actually do fractions of a Satoshi even.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You can even go further than that, because I think eventually, with hyper Bitcoinization, there is a bit of an issue where a Satoshi is around $1. So that's now suddenly, well, that's too big. If everything is,
I was going to say, yeah.
If everything $1, it's too big. So you can do a fraction of a Satoshi even. So we're going to have.
Has that always been the case, or has that been an improvement?
Yeah, it's been an improvement. Yeah.
What's that come in? Because I think this kind of naturally leads on to one of our topics about, which is the Bitcoin lesson. So soft and hard forks. I think this one kind of comes in. So when did that come in and what was it under? Because obviously I don't know the history as well as you. I know little bits like SegWit and Taproot and Lightning, but there's a lot which I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on the timeline. I think it was probably before my time. So I'd say 7 or 8 years ago, where they started to realize once the price hit like $1,000, they went, well, let's just fast forward to $1 million. What happens there? And they went, oh, right, actually Satoshis are actually too expensive. So they baked it in. So you can have a fraction of a Satoshi. And to a certain extent, I think they also do it on layer 2. So you basically split the Satoshis up, the next layer up in Lightning, and then just consolidate them back onto the main chain anyway. But yeah, that would have been a soft fork that did that change. It wasn't
so
hard fork. If you want to go
on the Bitcoin lessons, are we going to go into this? So Darnell, do you want to explain difference between a hard and a soft fork?
No, pass my pay grade.
I'll have a crack since I've read about this, but not. I was going to say Gaz will correct me.
Yeah.
So a hard fork is not backwards compatible, and it conflicts with existing rules, which is a big difference. So the example was, if I remember correctly, Bitcoin Cash wanted bigger blocks for more transactions, and it went against the current rules for Bitcoin. So it went, this is what we're going to do, and you have to get all the nodes to agree with you. In that case, for it to continue on, whereas they went no, so you end up with this hard fork over to Bitcoin Cash. So what that meant is Gaz, say, had 3 Bitcoin. He then had 3 Bitcoin Cash as well. So Gaz is a shitcoiner. Whereas a soft fork is ones which...
Through duress.
Well, he sold it. I was like massively jealous because I was like, bastard. He basically got free money.
Free money, yeah.
Free money.
And then soft fork is backwards compatible, but it is rules that do not clash with old ones. So the example is SegWit, where it ignores signatures from transactions, allowing more transactions in a single block.
Yeah,
I got that right. Yes, first time.
Yeah, you were clearly reading it off a screen, but you did get it right.
If you look here, this is my notes. I always have my notes here.
Oh,
so
okay. Oh, it's notes. Okay, no, it's not an article that literally describes difference between hard forks and soft forks.
And for a second there, I was actually thinking that Ross was quite smart.
But no, you nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah.
Right.
So a fork, like probably most people have heard of forks just in code, and normally like just to update any code on a website or in any software, you fork it. It's just very, very natural. You fork it, and all that really means is you're adding code to it or changing something. And why it's such a big thing in Bitcoin is, we have $500 billion worth of value in our bit of software. So if you're going to change it and fork it in some shape or form, whether it's a soft fork or a hard fork, you better be fucking sure that what you're doing is good, because if you make a mistake and put a bug in there, and that's $500 billion worth of value just leaks out the side. It's a one hell of a big mistake.
This is why Taproots take so long to get adopted, because it's got to go through, so many approvals, percentage approvals over a certain time period.
Yeah, it's a relatively small change, and the code that's been written elsewhere in the world, and they've just baked it in and just put it into Bitcoin. And I think the whole process started about 4 or 5 years ago. The developers signed it off like about 2 years ago, I think, and it's taken 2 years to now get minor approval before it even gets rolled out. And that's a soft fork. So that's just an update to privacy and scalability, and relatively minor, really. So the risk is relatively low, but you can just see it takes 5 years in Bitcoin for that to get rolled out. But that's why a lot of the shitcoiners get upset about stuff like that and go, this isn't happening fast enough. We want to innovate faster. So they just create their own coin and just start rolling out changes. And hence why so many shitcoins have been hacked. They've had all the value stolen out the back. It's because you're making changes to monetary systems. You can't, this isn't just a website that if there's a bug in Facebook or Twitter, no one really cares. Like, oh, I can, send a tweet out on your account or something. They just go, fuck. They close it, they fix the bug, and then they upload it and delete the tweets. That's nice and easy. You can't do that in a monetary system. If I get access to your account in Bitcoin and I send the Bitcoin to me, it's over. You fucked the system, you're done. Like, just close it down, start again. Whoops, experiment over. 12 years. Good game. See you next year. It's very, very important. But hard forks are the big one.
Is uploading his CV to Monster.
Yeah, I literally would be.
Like old school.
I'd be uploading it to OnlyFans.
Sponsored by Glory Holes.
Yeah, I'd literally be going around and putting this freaking podcast on all the glory holes around the country. But a hard fork literally just changed the core rules of Bitcoin, which they're very, very rare. And usually are done by malicious actors. So that's why it was Bitcoin Cash guys did it. They had a big argument. It was all the big blockers against the small blockers, and they wanted big blocks. We wanted to keep the blocks small. So they literally rolled out a change that increased the block size, which now suddenly means the rules in Bitcoin say that the blocks have to be smaller than 1 megabyte. And they wanted to increase them. I think it was to about 256 megabytes or something crazy. So once that change came in, it meant every single block on the Bitcoin Cash chain is now invalidated on Bitcoin now. So if you're transacting over there, you're on a different network. Like if you're sending a transaction over there, Bitcoiners just ignore it. And it's because you literally have a completely different token now. It's called something else. It's called Bitcoin Cash. It's over there. And if you stay on here, then the blocks are still 1 megabyte big here. So you stay on the main chain. So that's roughly what a soft and hard fork is. And those terms come up a lot, and it will come up again because we're about to soft fork into Taproot and Segwit. Not Segwit, into Snore, Taproot and Snore. So
I've heard of Snore.
Yeah, it's all part of the same update.
Okay.
But this
maybe
is
I've
the
read a
beauty,
little bit.
however, of Bitcoin is the fact that it stayed true to what it is, and it's not prepared to just go off on a tangent and instead remain pure. As we know, that's the whole point of having decentralization as well. And I was actually watching a podcast with Pete Rizzo and Anthony Pump, where Pete Rizzo was talking about trying to find Satoshi Nakamoto and the requests that Satoshi was getting in the early days, and he'd just ignore it pretty much. He'd just be like, nah. And then when the requests got too much, he was obviously just vanished and disappeared and gave access to a couple of developers. They did some of the changes, and ever since it's been as is.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like what Satoshi built was 99% perfect anyway.
Yeah.
So it was
the word which you're looking for is beautiful.
Yeah, and
it's just you look at it now. How many years is it now? 12 years.
12 years
to
now.
build something which was almost perfect in the first kind of shot. It's just unthinkable. Like we've all read the Bitcoin Standard, and it generally just blew my mind that he made a system which basically fixed all the problems. But there's a little upgrades to cope with bigger usage, like you said, breaking the sats into fractions, taproot, lightning, and so on. The little improvements which have been added on, but he was 99%. It's just it is baffling how someone could be so right.
Yeah. And not only to get the ideas right, but also the execution was perfect. Because you can have all the right ideas, try and build it that way, but then you've missed something, and then someone hacks it and basically validates your whole model, and then you have to do it again. Go, oh, Satoshi's ideas were right, but he got something wrong. There's a bug, and it got hacked 2 years in. It didn't get hacked. We're 12 years in, and at one point there's $1 trillion worth of value in there.
Well, the FBI claims they have.
Yeah, should we go on to that one?
There's always FUD. Okay,
this is
on to the FUD section.
This is Hack Weekly again.
Hack Weekly.
This is the one that you requested. This is the section you requested, and this is a big one because this is like the I don't know if you saw it in the news, like the pipeline hackers. This is the main kind of company that orchestrates the main oil line into America. They got hacked, and their systems all got shut down, and ransomware was put on, and it went, unless you pay us $2 million in Bitcoin, we're going to delete everything. So for a couple of days, America was worried that they would have no oil because the computer systems that were designed to freaking orchestrate the oil getting into America, some Bitcoin hackers took it over. Now, the story goes that America paid the ransom. They paid them the 65 Bitcoin at the time. And the ransom guys went, oh, fair enough. We actually won't delete everything then. We'll take all the software off. Carry on. And they went on their way. So this was about 2 weeks ago. And now the FBI announced, we hacked the Bitcoin guys. We got our money back. So the Bitcoin is now in our possession again. We have the 65 Bitcoin back. And so that kind of news, they went on American TV last night announcing all this. And straight away, I think that was the sign of a dip in Bitcoin price, because a lot of people saw that and went, holy shit, the FBI have hacked a Bitcoin wallet. They just saw where the Bitcoin went, hacked the address itself, generated their own private keys, and just sent them their own Bitcoin back.
Yeah.
They did not do that.
It's probably really, really clear to say that once again. They did not do that.
They did not do that.
So I've read pieces everywhere about this, and it says somewhere that when they were retrieving it, they found the private keys. So they were saying these hackers who were so clever to basically blackmail people for oil could manage to leave their private keys in a notepad file or something on their desktop. That is the equivalent of what they are saying.
Yeah, well, it's almost even worse than that. What they're saying is they seem to have managed to track down a server somewhere that is attached to these ransom hackers. So they got access to this server. Again, they didn't hack it. They just found out which cloud provider owned it, and they just subpoenaed them and went, this server has been involved in a hack. Give us access. So they gave them access because, again, they couldn't get through that encryption, but they got given a login. So they log in, and apparently on this server is the Bitcoin. So they just steal it back. So that's their story. And even
the private keys were on the server, wasn't it?
Yeah, or if it's just the wallet. Like if you have access to whatever it is, and you just suddenly now have the permission to send from that address, and you've logged in to the right wallet, you can just send it straight out. But again, it doesn't make sense. Like these guys, these guys aren't hacking a random company. That they are hacking the oil pipeline into America. So straight away, there's certain levels of punishment for hacking. You've just gone to
there's a certain level of intelligence which is needed to do this.
Yeah,
it's not like some 14-year-old or some guy who's just been sacked at McDonald's could do this.
Yeah,
but also I think there's got to be some intelligence on the flip side of it in terms of understanding how they could actually reverse the hack and obviously get the Bitcoin back. And that's where people have to use the old grey matter and dig a little bit further, because we all know that that's not possible to be done. And so rather than just accepting it on face value and lo and behold, there's a dip, you know, if they actually knew what goes into your, obviously the whole encryption and your private keys and holding those, then people would be like, hold on, I don't really buy this.
Yeah.
As opposed to the headline.
To think that these guys that have hacked one of the most secure kind of services in the land, that also comes with the biggest punishment in the land. They only asked for 2 million as well, which is a suspiciously low amount of number, because normally there's a team of people that do this stuff, and 2 million is like such a token amount of money for.
You'd be talking hundreds of millions, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you at least ask for 20, 50, 100 million. Like you're starving America of oil here. This is tens of billions a day worth of value going through this pipe.
They need to run their SUVs.
Is that I think it was like, I can't remember what the information that came out. I think it's always like 3 weeks. I don't know why. It's always 3 weeks, but America only had enough oil for 3 weeks. Like if this line stays shut, America just grinds to a halt.
So these are all the
prices went up.
These are all the pictures which I was seeing people filling up their washing baskets and shopping bags.
Yeah.
And it's like, you absolute fucking moron.
Yeah. I saw a guy that had put Lionel in the back of his truck and was filling the entire back of his truck up with petrol. It's like you're literally a driving bomb right now. Like
and also it's going to slosh over seats, it's going to slosh over the back, and it's corrosive. Like most plastics can't contain that.
Oh, yeah, I know it did.
But
that was the panic.
If the hack could get out, or was it just purely the news of there could be a shortage?
No, they announced this is another suspicious thing. They didn't keep this a secret. The second the hack happened, they announced it. They said there was ransomware on the computers, and they were asking for Bitcoin. So this is where I think I even tweeted about it at the time. I went, the energy FUD was just like dying off from Elon.
Yeah.
And people were getting over it a little bit, and we're like, but then we very quickly transversed into, if we kill Bitcoin and if that kills ransomware, then is that worth it? Just as this hack happens, you're like, this is very convenient that we have just yet another bit of FUD that now Bitcoin, via like one layer removed, is attacking the energy supply and there's like almost the survival of America. So. And people were saying, like, if we shut Bitcoin down and it stops ransomware, is that worth it? And it's just...
and all they wanted was 5 fillet of fishes and a strawberry milkshake.
I know, it's...
suspicious.
And obviously, they're trying to then... Now America, the hero as well. Like, America defeats Bitcoin. They get the ransom back. There's no sign of the actual guys that did it.
It's almost
just super suspicious.
Everyone's seen Austin Powers, haven't they? So like in the 60s, he's like the criminal, and he gets frozen. He comes forward, and he comes up with a big plan, something like a rocket on the moon or something like that. And we're like, he rings up the US government, and we're like, "What do you want, Dr. Evil? Anything?" And he's like, $1 million, and everyone just starts pissing themselves laughing. And this is it, isn't it? $2 million. It is literally pocket change. But they printed, what was it, trillions last year. It means nothing. Ask for hundreds of millions, not 2 million. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I haven't thought about it from that angle.
Because already, if you think that you've infiltrated their systems, you're going to have been able to also like make sure that your steps can't be traced as well. So you'd ask for a hell of a lot more if you're going to go out for it. You're going to be ballsy and get so much more.
Well, $2 million were like, that's not going to really last one person their life.
Correct.
Their life. So you're going to have to go back because, and like they, like, that if you genuinely did do this was a genuine hack, America would put 50 guys on this for the rest of their life, finding out who did it. They would just fund it forever because would be such an embarrassment to America that they would just make sure this never happened again. They'd want to grab you, haul you up in front of court, throw you in a hole for the rest of your life, and use you as an example to anyone else that's thinking of doing this. Never do it again. Like, once you start a project like this, you're on the run for the rest of your life now. It's over for you. You have to run forever. $2 million is virtually nothing. And then we've also got to assume you didn't want to spend the $100 on a hardware wallet to secure that Bitcoin that you fucking stole. You left it on a server with the private keys up there.
What do they do? Take along the work experience person? It's like, God damn it, Jerry! I told you not to put the keys on the notepad.
No, it's almost laughable.
Jerry missed out the fucking zeros when you paid the ransom.
But you're absolutely right.
You said 2 billion, not 2 million.
Where's these hackers? Why haven't they been brought forward and like been shown to the world? Because it just sparked the idea to me. Do you remember the boy that hacked NASA? And his name was Gary McKinnon.
He was British, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right. And he had something wrong with him. And
I think he had autism.
Health.
It's autism or Asperger's.
Yeah, he lived at home with his mum and stuff. Like,
so straight away we knew the person who had the ability to hack into there. So where is this group of people?
I know. Well, that's what I'm going to be waiting for, I think, over the next couple of weeks. Because if they've got the server, that pretty much means now they've got the people. They can then track that back to individual devices of who is accessing this cloud server. So, yeah, and usually you wouldn't announce this part of the investigation because now you've completely alerted everyone. You'd get access to this server. You wouldn't steal the money yet. You'd wait for them to access it.
They'd have forensic experts on it.
Yeah, you'd just set up a honey trap. You'd just be setting stuff up, going, let them click this file. Let's change this file. Let's change the Bitcoin wallet. Let's put the Bitcoin wallet, put a virus in there that downloads something to their PC and triggers it. And that's how they normally catch people like this. They get in, they're very quiet, and you don't tell people you're in. Like, so by announcing it on public TV, going, we stole the Bitcoin back, without announcing that they have the 1 or 6 guys that did this, is very, very suspicious. And if anything, like by announcing it, if this is legit, those people have just scrambled now and won't access any of those servers ever again. They'll destroy every device that they have, will be in the bin now, burnt. So you're never catching them now, but it's either complete incompetence or the entire thing was set up from the beginning and this isn't legit at all. And this little hack, the US government did it to themselves. They sent some Bitcoin to themselves and they stole it back again to themselves, pretending they hacked Bitcoin. And if that really is the truth, then gee, that is the state of affairs we're in, where the US government are faking hacks on their own oil lines to try and fund Bitcoin, which that's kind of crazy to think if that's really happening right now.
It'd be a massive compliment.
Oh,
but literally, it's almost a story which an 8-year-old would come up with. It's like, someone broke into our house and they stole my homework. It's like, what about my phone, my laptop, car? No, just my homework. Yeah. And I completed it too.
Yeah. And they've left it under a stone in the garden and I found it again. Like, this doesn't add up. Why did they steal it and then just leave it there? Like, what?
Yeah, why didn't they steal my car keys? Which, why did they want your maths homework?
They're controlling the narrative, aren't they, of the news story and what comes out and when it comes out. So
they're not even trying anymore.
Well, no, they're not.
It's like Hancock at the moment. What's the latest with Hancock in the UK? Obviously, Indian variant, and we basically did a bit of division it's the equivalent of 100 deaths a day. So it's not really anything. And then it's going, oh yeah, it's got into the UK. Okay, why didn't we close the borders? Oh, we had to let people back. Why didn't we make them isolate?
Yeah.
And then it goes, we might have to lock down again. And it goes, but if you've had the vaccination, only 3 people have been hospitalized. None have died, but only 3 have been hospitalized, whereas loads of people died from the Indian strain. And it's just like, are you even trying?
Such nonsense. Such nonsense. Because talking about politicians talking nonsense, someone that was silenced for the last 6 months on all social media, the orange man, the Mr. Donald Trump,
the master of memes.
He finally gets a voice back. He gets an interview with mainstream media for the first time. And what has he got to say? Bitcoin's a scam. But then in the next sentence, he says Bitcoin's a scam. And then he goes, and I believe the US dollar should be the global currency of the world. So without him realizing it there, he hugely legitimized Bitcoin. Because why would you throw that last sentence in? Because he's, without realizing it, suggesting Bitcoin is a threat to the US dollar. So he's just calling it a scam to like throw it under the bus because it's a nice, easy thing to say. And then going, but actually, really what I believe is it's a genuine competitor. And I would rather it be the US dollar wins, not Bitcoin. So holy shit, we've got an ex-president here of the guy that was 6 months ago had access to the money printer and was the most powerful guy in the world, supposedly, or at least the most powerful puppet in the world.
Yeah.
And is scared about Bitcoin. And literally this has been his price or the key to his freedom slightly to be like, have a voice. They've literally had to tell him, look, we'll let you back on TV.
Does he get his Twitter account back now?
No, he's got his Facebook and Instagram back, but he's not allowed Twitter because Twitter was the one that was doing the most damage. So they've banned him from Twitter still, but they've allowed him onto national TV for this first ever interview. And all he is like a little 60-second clip he was allowed on for a very short time frame because they probably didn't trust him to like start going off the rails again. And he just went, Bitcoin's a scam, US dollar's amazing. And then they cut him off. And they were like, okay, done.
He literally said word for word, I've got the article here. Bitcoin it just seems like a scam. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to be the currency of the world. That's what I've always
Did he reason why it was a scam, or is that literally the whole of the interview?
Yeah, that's what we had to really say. Yeah, and it's hilarious, isn't it? Because without him realizing it, he has admitted that Bitcoin competes with the US dollar, which is the biggest compliment you could ever pay Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's the end boss. The US dollar is the end boss, and we've just got an ex-president admitting we're competing. Like he's thrown the word scamming, which is that's just Trump, right? Trump is a legend at diminishing his rivals with just little insults, but then really just emphasizing his main point afterwards. So he'll just call you sleepy, lazy, you should be in jail, and then not give any explanation as to why, and then just go, and I'm the best. And that's what he's done there. He's gone, oh, Bitcoin's a scam, US dollar is the best. And it's crazy.
Yeah, Donald's probably got to get back into the good graces of many a people. And so, by bigging up the dollar, he's on his way to redemption, isn't he?
Yeah. So when did he get his Facebook and Instagram back?
I think it was a couple of weeks ago.
So maybe that was like, we're going to give you this back if you do an interview. This is our little token. And then if you do a couple more, you get your Twitter. And he's like, ooh, my Twitter. I need that. Because he was going to go to that other one, but that got closed down.
Parler, yeah. I don't think he'll ever get his Twitter. He's just too dangerous on there. Like he literally became president from being a TV star to president with that Twitter account. So they'd be terrified of giving him that back.
What kind of talking about that? I know it's going back to a previous section, but Jack Mauler, his Twitter seemed to disappear. Do we know why?
Oh yeah, that seems to be shitcoiners. So because he became a legend and is literally like influencing governments now, what the shitcoiners did, and it's a very common attack on Bitcoiners and just random Twitter accounts, you report their account as being offensive, as whatever. You just report it. And if enough people do it, Twitter will just auto like block your account and suspend it, because they haven't got time to look at every report. But once thousands come through for one account, usually that account has been bad. So they just auto ban it until it gets through the queue, and then they'll look at the reports. So because Jack became such a legend from the event, all the shitcoiners, they were salty. They reported his account.
El Salvador didn't take cummies on a...
Exactly. So yeah, he's back. 24 hours later, he was back.
Like I said, the whole thing's really good. I just didn't like the delivery, and that was more of a personal thing. I think the whole thing about El Salvador, and I'm hoping that, obviously, as a Bitcoin of it does help the country immensely, which I think it will. But yeah, I was just curious. I was wondering about that.
It did look suspicious. It did look at the beginning at like, holy shit, is he being cancelled because he's making too much of a difference here? But nah, it was just shitcoiners being salty. But yeah, one actually other thing that came out of the conference we didn't cover was Square, which again, it was in the Jack Dorsey presentation. He mentioned that he is looking to make his own hardware wallet, and he referenced all the problems that you guys have discussed like numerous times about they're difficult. They like there's tiny little screens. You got to remember your 24 words. You've got to store them. Make sure you got them backed up and all this type of stuff. He literally looked at that, and he is like a user experience guy. He's brought like banking through Cash App to the whole of America. It's the most popular app in America, which is just super simple. You just send value to each other. Yeah, you don't need really long processes to set up an account and have a bank account. Like he does it all in the background and just makes it super simple. So what it sounds like, he is using those types of skills and obviously his resources and his people to go, we want to invent the next Bitcoin hardware wallet, and it's just going to be super simple to use.
Yeah, I didn't find any detail on it. Obviously,
No.
I haven't seen him announce it, but I read it and went, there was no detail, but he just said he wanted to take it to the next level, and he was going to make the designs open so people could understand what it was. So that'd be pretty cool, because I think when I was mentioning it, you were just like, no. Whereas I'm glad that someone actually agrees with me for once.
Oh, it's hard, but I think there's a reason for it to be hard. And there was that clip from President Obama's speech where he pretty much said, Bitcoin gives everybody a Swiss bank account in their pocket. And this is the fact of the matter, isn't it? So yeah, I'd like it to be easy for people, but if it's hard, then fair enough. Great. Let's keep it like that for now.
Yeah.
I think there's all sorts which can happen with it. So I'll be interested to see what he actually does. I imagine it'll be a couple of years in the making if it's only just starting. Because, you got to think about, if you want a hardware wallet, then it's transfer, storage, 24 words, where to put that. Then it's also, if someone doesn't have access to a computer, is a way which you can make it work with a mobile device. I don't know if you can do that at the moment, but I think there's lots of opportunity for someone, who's clever and innovative as him.
Yeah. I think it's just great to have competition anyway. We almost needed because at the moment, like Ledger, Trezor, Cold Card, these have been set up, and by and large, the entire R&D processes have probably cost a couple of million max. Jack Dorsey could just throw 100 million at his version and just see what he comes up with, and to see, can he simplify anything? I think he's going to struggle, because you can't get away from, the individual has to have some accountability. So you can't move away from that. You can't just offload it, because if you offload everything, then that's just Coinbase. Just put it in there and log in. Remember your passwords, and it's all there. Don't worry. But then you're completely offloading all your accountability onto Coinbase. If they disappear or go bad, your Bitcoin goes bad. So you once you have a device that you have to control, there's always a level of risk there. And if you back it up in too many places and a company can basically get access to it, then you've kind of undone your security by offloading too much to a third party. But yeah, he's a super smart guy. He's got a lot of resources. A lot of smart people work for him. So I can't wait to see what his hardware wallet looks like, how it uses. I'll definitely be buying one if it comes out just to try it out. So it's just great to have more smart
It's also, he's going to do things which we aren't even thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's obviously got something in mind. He's got a big idea if he's even mentioned it. And it's something which is going to be revolutionary. So I'm quite excited about it, because it'll be another factor which hopefully will help make Bitcoin more mainstream.
Yeah, he said it was going to have some shape or form be linked into Cash App. So that's, again, is brilliant, because that has like a couple of 100 million downloads. Like we don't have it in the UK, but it's like the #1 app in America.
Is it basically a PayPal equivalent?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the sponsor for the fight as well. Did you see?
It was all over it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the ring, Cash App.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? You don't want to talk about that, do you?
Are we on fallen heroes now? Probably.
I was actually hoping when I wrote Fallen Heroes that maybe today, like, we'd have a literal fallen hero here at a massive upset with fucking Floyd on the floor, but that didn't happen. Like, he easily like danced around him.
Yeah.
Well, he kept him up, didn't he? So I've seen a clip where he looks like he's going down. He basically held him on his shoulder till he found his feet.
It does look like that. It definitely looks like that.
Yeah, I've only seen a little clip, so I haven't seen the full context of it.
Yeah, I think that punch to somebody's Floyd's size, the impact of them coming forward plus his punch connecting always would do the damage. But obviously with someone being that big, you're gonna need a lot more force. But it was an interesting one. I think Floyd just needs to accept he's 44. Say he's not 21.
Yeah, but if someone threw 100 million at me and said, fight this random person off YouTube who basically does bodybuilding, has boxed about twice in his life, will you do it? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's the catch? You got to keep him up for 8 rounds? Fine.
24 minutes work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Floyd would be an idiot not to do it. He doesn't care. He's been, from my limited knowledge of boxing, one of the best boxers ever. So give him a 100 million. This is for the fights where you didn't make that much earlier in your career. Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is about these two Paul brothers is everyone's watching their very early fights because they were genuine just YouTubers then, fighting YouTubers. So it was literally like they would have YouTube spats. They'd launch like diss tracks against each other, and eventually it escalated into, I'm gonna knock your head off. And they went, no, you won't. I'm gonna knock your head off. And they organized a fight, and then they trained for a couple of months, got in a ring, and they started fighting each other. And it was laughable. It was proper amateur level. But this was 4 years ago. And once the two Logan and Jake Paul got a taste of this, they loved it. So the last 4 years, they've pretty much done nothing else other than train boxing. And I think Floyd got a little bit of a surprise that when he went in against this guy, he knew he was going to be bigger and younger. But if he had no boxing ability, he would easily knock, no matter how big you are, Floyd will knock you out. But this lad had 4 years of experience now and just had the basics down just to keep the jab out. Just you stay over there. And the biggest thing I think Floyd was surprised about, he had the fitness. Logan actually seemed fitter than Conor McGregor when he fought him. Conor completely gassed out at about 6 rounds, and he was just standing there. He was just there to be hit. Logan in the 8th round was still trying to hit him, and he was dancing, he was moving pretty well. And you're like, oh, these aren't just random YouTubers. They are boxing fit, and they have the foundation in now 4 years in.
But don't you think Mayweather was just keeping the fight going to keep the money going? I haven't seen it, and obviously I don't have the knowledge about boxing to be able to comment properly.
I think if Floyd wanted to knock him out, I think he was trying. Logan caught him, I think in about the 4th round it was, and it angered Floyd. And he came at him and tried to knock Logan out, and he got him a couple of times. But then I think Floyd got a bit tired and went, I can't keep going for him like this. Otherwise, if he notices I'm tired, it's going to be dangerous having a big guy come at me. So he backed off. And I think Floyd knew how embarrassing it would be to finish that fight without a knockdown. Because the thing is, he fought Conor only 2 years ago, and he's a UFC champ who was known for striking, and he knocked that guy out. So going just the rounds with Conor wouldn't have been that embarrassing because he's still an elite fighter and he's a little bit bigger than Floyd. He's younger. Floyd's been retired for years, but like fighting a YouTuber who's just big, like, he should have been able to knock him out. But I think he was surprised that the guy was actually quite fit and quite good, and he just had to live with the embarrassment and go, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna have to take this L really and just get out alive." The number one thing he did not want is to be knocked out. Like, that could not happen. So he just went, "I'm just gonna stay safe and just ride it out."
I'm guessing he won on points then.
There's no winner. There
No.
is no winner. There was never ever going to be a winner. So we always knew that. But I think the moral victory of lasting the 8 rounds goes to obviously Logan Paul.
Fair play to him, then, if he's got to that standard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Did either you pay for that fight?
No.
I was going to say, like, I saw on Twitter some poll, would you pay $50 for, was it Floyd to fight the other brother? And I was just like, who on earth would answer yes to that?
And I must admit, if I'm like a Floyd fan, do not fight Jake. Like, Jake is better than Logan. He's the younger brother and he's better. And he's been taking it more seriously. Like, Logan's been in it for like 4 years, but a little bit in and out. Jake has been active. He's fought like 5 or 6 times over that time. Logan lost one fight. No, he drew one fight, lost a fight, and then fought Floyd. Went straight in. Jake has actually had like 5 or 6 fights. He's fought every 6 months. Floyd doesn't need to embarrass himself. Like, it would be so bad if he went out.
Would be capable of going some kind of semi-pro or pro then?
They are pro already. But the thing is, they're geniuses. So they're just as like Floyd's doing. Like, Floyd
is just making money.
Yeah, they fight the guy that makes the most money and the guy that they think they can beat. So Logan fought Mayweather because once you actually manage to bait in a Mayweather, it's fine to lose to him. But like, if you really what they're baiting in, they bait in celebs, they bait in basketball players, they bait in.
Who have they had? Because I've seen KSI, who's a fairly big YouTuber, but I haven't really paid much attention.
Jake managed to get a basketball player in. Nate Robinson.
Yeah, that's it, Nate.
And weirdly, he's like the shortest basketball player of all time or something. He's like, you straight away when you say basketball player, like, oh, big guy. He's like, no, he was like 5'6". I don't know how.
Yeah.
And then they got Ben Askren, who is technically a champion in MMA and is a UFC fighter, but he's never thrown a punch in his life. He's a wrestler. So, and obviously he knocked him out in like 30 seconds. So, but he looks good.
The Paul brother, not the UFC fighter.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Yeah, who was it? Jake Paul, like, smashed him out. So he's fighting a better UFC fighter. This is going to be interesting. He's fighting Tyron Woodley, who again is very recently retired from the UFC, but he is a striker, very, very good one. Lost his last 4 fights, as you typically do when you're retiring, but still, that's a fight. He's legit. Like, Ben Askren was a joke, but Tyron Woodley is an interesting fight. Obviously, it never really converts. Like, everything that Tyron's learned in his entire career is kicking and wrestling as well as fighting with his hands. So he's going to have to unlearn a lot of that. And Jake's very clever as well. He makes them have quick turnarounds. So once he picks you, he goes, right, we're fighting in 2 months. So I think they're fighting in July or August. So that gives Tyron barely any time to figure out how to box. And then before he knows it, he's facing a YouTuber.
Again, that's a Mayweather blueprint, like, playbook.
Is it?
He used to say, so the Manny Pacquiao fight, he announced it in March and they were fighting in May.
Oh.
And
because you're ready. He's obviously ready. He knew it was coming. He
stays ready. Yeah, he stays ready.
That had been going on for years. They won't fight each other.
Exactly. So it had been going on for years and years. And then, finally they met accidentally in LA that time. And then, the fight's on. You'll do it on my terms, this date. Here's the money, like half of the money.
Who wouldn't fight who? Oh, I know we're going completely off topic, but who wouldn't fight who there?
Floyd wouldn't fight him until he would agree to a random blood and urine sample test. And I really like boxing, and Manny Pacquiao is like probably my second favorite fighter, but I have true doubts over his legitimacy when he was knocking bigger guys out throughout.
Because I remember watching clips of him, and it was like, I don't know how to describe it, like pure fury, like non-stop hits, like unbelievable stamina. Whereas Mayweather, from what I've watched, he's defensive. He takes his time. He wears people down, beats them on points, or well, finishes them.
Yeah, it's completely different styles, but it's because never ever in the history of boxing or any like martial arts of any form has someone been able to come from a lower weight class, being able to put on the size and carry the speed and power to be able to knock people out ever. And that's where I kind of think, And then there was also a coach that was involved with Manny Pacquiao that was done for drug testing as well with other fighters. So I forget, his name completely escapes me, but that's why I kind of think this doesn't kind of all add up.
Yeah. So the whole point of this area was so we could talk about Mayweather's shitcoin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I paid no attention. My comment here,
I didn't pay no any attention.
My one comment is just don't care.
Yeah, he literally did show up just to because the thing is, like, he got announced to the Bitcoin conference. I think it was like he was one of the last announcements. It was like a week before, so he was obviously just doing like the rounds because it was the day before his fight.
It was in Miami. So,
yeah,
you know, Miami was the fight. He's in Miami. He's got a house in Miami anyway. So,
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, and he wants to promote the fight clearly, and also his NFT, which is what he then proceeded to do at a Bitcoin conference. And they showed him turning up, and he had an Ethereum shirt on. So everyone saw this photo. Someone tweeted it out from him in the back getting mic'd up. And they're like, if he comes out in an Ethereum shirt, this is going to turn nasty. And then he comes out and he's not wearing that. He's wearing like a different Mayweather shirt. So obviously someone's got to him and gone, do not go out wearing that. Like, you need to change. So he changes. And then, yeah, they dance around it a bit. Because obviously he's a legend. And like people in Bitcoin are just interested in legends. So let's talk about his career, But
that's when he started off really good.
Yeah.
Because he started off legitimately, like, as he said, he bought himself out of his contract to have pure control. Bitcoin is about having control and having, being your own boss in a way. And so he did that. And I think a lot of people warmed to him, but he started up here and then he quickly went straight down. And it was just like, it could have been so good, Floyd.
Yeah.
Do you think this is caused by people not really understanding the Bitcoin crowd, that they're kind of thinking, oh, they like crypto, so they're like all crypto, whereas in fact the whole thing about Bitcoin is fixing money, isn't it? That's why we have faith in Bitcoin and we are buying cummies.
Well, I think Floyd is quite honest as well. When he talks about this fight, he does just say, well, yeah, I wouldn't fight him if it was for free. I'm fighting him because I'm going to get paid 100 million. Like, I'm doing it for the money to build generational wealth and pass it on. And he went, quite liked his statement where he went, you can't eat legacy. You eat food and you need dollars to buy food. It's like, okay, well, fair enough. And so once he got into that, he doesn't care about Bitcoin. He just obviously doesn't get it. But there's plenty of people that have discussed, well, you could create Mayweather coin and Mayweather NFTs and you can make millions. And so he started doing those things. He had his own coin back in 2017 and he got prosecuted by the SEC for doing so. It was an unregistered security. He's now selling NFTs. I think it was the number one NFT. He was super proud. He wanted to announce he was the number one NFT. And it only received boos. He's like, why are you booing me? I'm number one. It's like, yeah, number one scammer, motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
And so, yeah, it was the wrong crowd. And he's doing it to make money. And like that's why most people are in it. And the problem with him is he's just honest. He's like, I'm in it to make money. I'm going to get in, get out, and I'm going to convert it into jewelries, fast cars, and like my kids' tuition for their universities, not into Bitcoin. And it's the wrong crowd. But if anything, it's a bit of a mind, like an inset into the mind of someone that is just in it for the gains, and that is a Floyd. Unfortunately, he's not got time to understand
it goes
Bitcoin.
back to my point before, is like everybody else was talking more around the technology. There was the talk around how you make your Bitcoin safe, and obviously talking around what they're doing to help people. No one was talking about the price.
No
one cares about the price.
No, it seriously didn't come up for 2 days.
No.
Other than like just mentioning the market cap occasionally, there wasn't a single prediction of price in the future. I think I think a couple of like the hosts later on tried to ask it, and people just refused to even answer. They just went, it doesn't matter. Like, we're changing the world here. We're separating money and state.
We're seeing the evolution. It's probably one of the biggest things. I mean, the Michael Saylor was absolutely massive stage where he bought into Bitcoin, announced it, and put his company's cash reserves into Bitcoin. But a country making it legalized tender is just next level, isn't it? And that was that on the final day that was announced?
Yeah, it was the final presentation of the final day.
I was going to say, because it's the biggest thing from my perspective to happen in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Winklevoss twins were there as well. And, they've been in it since the early days, and they've been buying, and they're probably just as rich, if not richer than most. They never talk about money. They're just talking about, again, the technology and how they plan on helping everyone, and obviously how secure their platform is.
Yeah, I do like the Winklevoss twins when they get onto a Bitcoin stage, because they have to watch their words so carefully, because ultimately they are crypto guys. They make loads of money on their platform with crypto guys going in, trading various shit coins, trading in and out. But when they go onto Bitcoin, they never mention any of that, and they have to really stick and pretend to be Bitcoin maximalists. But then the second they go back on Twitter, they start talking about Dogecoin and all that kind of crap again.
That's almost like fiat jobs, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we got their Bitcoin, which is a belief, some generating cash through other crypto, which is just like our day jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Yeah.
They've always talked about being big on ETH as well, Ethereum.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're massive shitcoiners. It's unfortunate, because it does surprise me. Again, like, Bitcoiners don't like the Winklevoss twins by and large, because the problem is they get it, but then purposefully decide not to get it and then shitcoin. And you go, well, why are they doing that? If they get it, it's like, well, they run a shitcoin exchange and they employ hundreds of people. So that is how their business relies on shitcoins. And the more shitcoins that come out, the more they can list them. People trade in and out of one shitcoin into another, and every single time they do, they make money. So that's why they like them. I doubt very much, because they even talked about Doge, and I've seen both twins talk about Doge, and they actually both admitted they don't own any. But it doesn't matter. They still make money out of Doge because people buy it on their platform and pay the fees, and they get the fees. So it's a shame.
Yeah, massively. Ross, any last words from you from this week in general?
I suppose the final thing would be, if you're selling right at the moment because of the FBI statement, then you're a fucking idiot, especially with El Salvador putting it as legal tender. It's possibly the worst time in history to sell Bitcoin. I think if you've got that, I'd probably recommend that you go to hospital or the doctors to have yourself checked, or maybe an IQ test.
Yeah, this week I've never been more bullish. It's I always think I'm pretty bullish, but after the last 2 days, like, there's so many great presentations, so many smart people, so much great progress, and just seeing the next level of FUD that's coming out now from the US government just gives me more like encouragement that they're starting to get hurt. It's like the first couple of jabs in their face, and they're like trying to like swing back now. It's like, oh, you think we're a fighter? Yeah, you were ignoring us before. Like, the jabs weren't hurting. And it's never been more bullish. It's crazy. And so even though we're at the bottom of like a 50% correction right now from the all-time highs, it's it's crazy. Like the Bitcoin Twitter has never been more bullish, and it's because of the news and the progress we're making.
Donnell?
Yeah, same for me. As you know, I never look at price, but I absolutely love the fact that the weak hands have continued to be shaken out, and yeah, as you said, we've gone from the people having FOMO to companies having FOMO to now countries having FOMO, and I only think that next week we're probably going to have more. You know, we're going to have more countries coming out. We may even have the fact that it's being passed, because at the moment we know that it's just a bill that's being presented for it to be legal tender. But ultimately, what it does is it continues to expose everybody. Well, it continues to expose the currencies that are being just printed willy-nilly, and that cash is trash. Fellow plebs, if you want to hear us, then yeah, tune in.